where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
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 So it's Notorious 90s. That's the theme. What?
Sure is.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah, I grew up then.
Me too.
Sort of. Not really.
I was growing the most I've ever grown in my life during the 90s.
I don't really count it as if you were like a little baby. You're a 2000s person.
I was the same size as I am in 2000.
Okay. I don't mean literal growth.
I'm too autistic.
Could someone just fucking kill me? I've been going through it, y'all. Going through it. But yeah, I grew up, when this case that we're talking about happened, I would have been like 12 or 13. And
I would have been like 1 or 2.
See, this shit doesn't count. And like it was everywhere. It was all over the news. It was all over late night TV. It was on SNL. It was just
on SNL.
Oh, they made so many inappropriate sketches about this shit. Wow. Yeah, it was used as a punchline, as were most of the true crime cases in the 90s that got famous, like the Menendez brothers. Even JonBenet Ramsey's case had SNL sketches. And I thought that was, and do think that is wildly inappropriate.
OJ.
Of course, OJ, Lorena Bobbitt. And we'll be covering a lot of those. And to be fair, we've covered a lot of them already. But tonight we're going to talk about the Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco case. And of course, people who grew up in the 90s like me will go like, oh, that shit. And people who grew up in the 2000s...
Jesus.
Are gonna go, huh? What? Don't worry, I'll tell you all about it. But before I wanted to get started, I kind of wanted to talk about ethics and true crime for a minute.
Yeah,
because it's something that's always, it's always concerned me. I mean, I don't want to be dishonest. This is for entertainment,
right?
I mean, it's educating entertainment, edutainment, or whatever they call it. Edutainment. That's what they call it.
That's a word.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were just having a seat.
No. Fuck off. And I mean, it's just dishonest to say anything otherwise. But I want to try and do good with it.
Right.
And entertain at the same time.
Discussions can be entertaining to have because they're thought-provoking.
Yes.
It's not entertaining, haha. It's,
well, no. Entertaining doesn't always mean laughing. It can mean like you feel something.
Yeah.
And that
or
can be excited or scared or empathetic or whatever.
Right.
But let's not... It's very dishonest for creators to say that it isn't entertainment, because it is. So we have to be really sensitive and aware. But y'all in the 90s, that no one was sensitive and no one gave a fuck. And it was a Wild West time in the true crime world.
Yes.
It was some of the nastiest shit I've ever seen in my life. It was disrespectful. The way everyone was treated in this case was gross. And so... Just remember that. Trigger warning for domestic violence, child abuse, child sexual abuse, grooming, and suicidal attempt. So this is a rough case because, and when you grow up in the environment that I did, like, and watching all this stuff on TV, and especially daytime TV, you kind of get to the place where you got desensitized and didn't realize how like fucking awful it was.
Right.
But the way this case was talked about, it just like it wasn't even serious. It was a joke, and this case is not a joke. And the one I would say that even exceeds this would be Lorena Bobbitt's case.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is made into haha funny, haha she cut off his dick, ha ha ha. When really, like, that case is really fucked up on many levels. And so I want to try and take a more serious approach to this case. I'm not gonna be cracking jokes because nothing is funny about this particular case at all. So yeah. This is a case of Amy Fisher, the Long Island Lolita. And yes, as we go on, that nickname will be just as disgusting as you think it is. You will hear all kinds of rhetoric around this case, and I'm going to try and be a little more nuanced, so let's get started. Amy Fisher was born on August 21st, 1974 in Merrick, New York, to parents Elliot Fisher and Roseanne. Merrick was a suburb of Long Island. It still is. I don't know why I said was. And it seemed she had, from the outside, a nice, upbringing. They lived in a nice home, and while not wealthy, her family was well off. Amy grew up as a bit of a tomboy and was very precocious and a very clever child. Her parents lavished her with material things, maybe as a reward for doing well in school, or maybe just because they wanted to spoil their kid. She was an only child. She had the best clothes, she had lots of cars. But just because Amy was spoiled with material things didn't mean all was well or that she had a happy childhood, because she did not. Amy's father was abusive physically and emotionally, and she was a shy, introverted kid who had a hard time making friends. Like, her only friends when she was little was her grandmother and her aunt.
Oh, honey.
Yeah. When her parents would fight, she would literally get down on her knees and pray that they would get divorced, because she was so afraid of her father. In addition to this, Amy was sexually abused by a man close to the family. The abuse started when she was only 3.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And lasted until she was 6.
Wow.
When Amy was 13, she was raped by a workman who had been doing some work on the family home.
Jesus.
Despite this, Amy seemed to have a relatively normal time in high school. Now, I will say this, and then I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that seems like not a normal time, but I contend it's a very normal time, especially in the 90s. She tried to get past all the terrible things that happened to her, and she had aspirations of becoming a fashion designer and going to college. And she would walk her little Yorkie Muffins every single day.
Muffins.
I know, it's really cute. Well, I had a Yorkie, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Muffins.
And she was only like 4 years older than me when all this happened.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's why it hits,
Right.
She's a child.
Yeah.
She would frequently cut class with her boyfriend, forge her parents' signatures on report cards, and she got into a fight with an older girl, and that saw her getting a broken nose and jaw. And people are going to say, oh, what a hoodlum. I did all of that shit, my friends.
It's so normal.
Yeah, it's normal. I skipped class. Mm-hmm. I forged my mom's signature. Mm-hmm. I made out with dudes in the boys' room and smoked pot in there. Mm-hmm. And cigarettes. Cigarettes. Want one right now. In February of 1991, she ran away from home. Amy was at a friend's house and called her mother to ask if she could stay the night, and her mother said no, and this caused them to get into a verbal fight. Her father got on the phone and told her that if she came home, he was going to beat the shit out of her. So she didn't come home, because why would she? Right. Amy stayed with friends and family for a few days. Her parents did know where she was at. But her father filed a missing persons report and told police that Amy was uncontrollable, dangerous, volatile, and crazy. And, like I said, I know she had an average time in high school. Yeah, all my friends ran away at some point. We all ran away to each other's houses all the time.
I did that.
I don't think that she was such a miscreant at this point. Troubled? Absolutely.
He told her not to come home.
She just did what he said.
Yeah, he's just projecting. That's all those things that he said about her, he is.
Mm-hmm. She just needed help.
Yeah.
She would eventually come home, and later that year, she fell pregnant. Her aunt helped her terminate that pregnancy. And of course, when that came out in the press, she was just raked over the coals for it. Her life was stressful. And she was this was right after she had gotten the abortion. She was backing her car out of the garage, and she cut it too close, and it tore off her side mirror. She's only 16.
I've done that so many times.
I bet you did it last week.
I didn't, though. I'm a really great driver now.
Well, you don't have a car to drive right now, so you couldn't have done that, to be fair.
Other people's cars. Anyway.
I remember it wasn't that long ago, to avoid a deer, you went in a ditch or something.
No.
Or was it the deer hit your car? I can't really remember.
I was really excited about pizza, and I was racing off to go get my pizza I had ordered, and the road was slick, and I slid off into the, side ditch, but it fixed my alignment, so. I'm amazing.
Anyway, a very normal thing that happened, but she was so afraid of her father getting mad at her. She took the car to an auto body shop that she had gone there the previous year when she was 15 with her dad. The shop was called Complete Auto Body Incorporated, and it was in Baldwin, New York. Her father had taken her there and taken her car there and his car there. Like, they'd been a couple times, and it was around Halloween the previous year. She hadn't paid much attention. She'd seen the owner, a man named Joey Buttafuoco, and her first impression of him, as she would later say, is that he was fat. Because he was. Chunky guy. Joey, we're going to talk about him now. Joey Buttafuoco was a family man who owned his own car repair shop. It was a family business. He had met his wife, Mary Jo, when they were sophomores in high school in 1971. He was known as a charming rascal. His mother passed away when he was only 11 years old, and as a result, he was a bit of a troublemaker as a teen, and he left this part of him behind, supposedly. Mary Jo and Joey were high school sweethearts. She was the more serious of the pair, so she balanced out his troublemaker side. Her family adored Joey, and his family loved her, and they got married in 1977 and bought a house in Baldwin near the car repair shop. And for a few years, everything was perfect. Both of them liked to party in the evening after work at local clubs and bars, but Mary Jo soon fell pregnant, and that meant life had to change for her right away. She felt the more responsible she was with keeping the home and caring for their child, the more wild and irresponsible Joey became. Like, he was resentful of having a kid. And I definitely think that's true. I don't think he was ready to grow up.
Yeah.
I think this is a real case of Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah,
he had a tragedy in his late childhood, early teens, and he just couldn't grow the fuck up.
This sounds like a few people I know.
Oh, I know many.
Yeah. I know you know.
I know you know I know. Mary Jo was content being a wife and a mother to their first son, Paul. But Joey wasn't ready for the fun to end, and he developed a pretty serious addiction to cocaine and was away from home more than he was there. He frequently would spend nights away from home, sometimes for days at a time. And I want to take every lovely, lovely lady's face in my hands, and my little raccoon mitts. I want to grasp you gently. Feel me doing it. Yes, make it weird. And I'm telling you, honey, just go, run away.
Honey.
Huh? Yeah, don't do this to yourself.
Trust me, hindsight is 20/20.
It is, but now I'm telling you, and you just do what I say.
Go get somewhere so you can look at the situation in the hindsight.
Preferably your rearview mirror as you speed away off into the sunset. And as I read recently on our Discord about this very thing, you stand by your mans who sucks, maybe you missing out on the love of your life.
1,000%.
Because it ain't the person treating you like shit not coming home.
The love of your life would never do that to you.
Never. Because you would never do it, would you?
No.
Well, then you need to expect the same for yourself. I'll get off my high horse now. Get away, horse.
If you needed a sign, though.
This is it. And it's me telling you, girl, run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was quick with a reasonable lie anytime she would ask, and manipulated his wife into staying with him when she would threaten to leave or file for divorce. In 1983, she gave birth to their daughter, Jessica, and to Mary Jo, that really sealed it. There was no way she could leave now because she wanted the perfect family. Also, there ain't no such thing, my babies.
The perfect family is a happy family.
Perfect family is a house where everybody love each other, regardless of blood relation.
That's right. Perfect
family includes friends and your little pets and your children and whoever else is around you at the time.
Perfect family can be small.
Yes, it can. It can be just two. It can be you and a kitty or a dog. It can be just your fucking self. Get out.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Mary started getting panic attacks due to Joey's cocaine abuse and his long nights away from home. This would eventually see Mary on medication for anxiety and seeing a therapist, and it definitely helped her cope, but it didn't help the fact that her husband was shirking his responsibilities as a husband and a father.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Jo suggested the family move to their hometown of Massapequa, which is a suburb of Long Island. And I said that perfectly. Where is my Oscar? Whatever. Money. I don't know. Give me something for that. Joey sold their house quickly, like suspiciously fast. But then later Mary found out that there was no money and that he hadn't actually sold the house. He'd owed his coke dealer so much money he had to give him the house, the deed to the house, to settle the debt, or they were going to kill him. Joey's father bailed him out by fronting Joey $50,000 for a new house if he agreed to relinquish his share of the family car repair shop. And naturally, he did, because what else is he supposed to do? He agreed. But even after this, Joey was still binging cocaine, so Mary Jo had to put her foot down, and he agreed to go into rehab, or else they were going to get divorced. When he came out of rehab, he seemed he'd conquered addiction, and to be fair to him, he did never touch cocaine again.
Well, that's good.
And Mary Jo was just over the moon. She really loved him.
Yeah.
Like the song by Loretta Lynn, Stand By Your Man, had come out like around the time they had gotten together, and she really felt that, like the lyrics of that deeply. Do you know it was a deeply controversial song at the time? Came out in 1968. During the women's liberation movement. And people were like, I don't like this message.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, I don't like it either.
Mm-hmm.
It should be stand by your partner unless they're an abusive cunt. Mm-hmm. There we go. Over the next couple years, it seemed like things were finally good for the couple. That was until Amy Fisher walked into the auto body shop and met Joey. It was May of 1991, and Amy had brought her car to the family auto body shop to replace the side mirror so her dad wouldn't find out. Joey helped her out by telling her dad that it was true, because she had told her dad a lie. She had said that somebody had sideswiped her and knocked the mirror off, and Joey stood up for her and said, yeah, that's obviously what happened. I work on cars, I would know. And so Amy was charmed by this, naturally.
16 years old?
Yeah, 16.
16.
16. He is 30 fucking 5.
A 35-year-old man lied to a 16-year-old girl's father.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
Of course
cool.
it was romantic to her. She's a baby. She doesn't know.
Oh.
And while Amy's dad did find Joey very charming, he thought he could get the job done for cheaper, and he took the car to a different mechanic to get it fixed. However, this mechanic didn't fix it properly, and they ended up having to take it back to Joey's shop anyway. And this was a back and forth, like a couple times, because Amy's dad was a real perfectionist. And so he would keep bringing it back, and then Amy was starting to damage her car on purpose.
Oh my God, Amy.
She's a baby.
I know. I made the same type of, well, not the same decisions, but.
I remember doing some real dumb bitch shit when I was that age.
Yeah, girl.
Actually, I was a little older, but anyway. Yeah, I don't fault her for that kind of stuff.
No.
And she's so desperate for father figure type love.
Yeah, clearly, because she's not getting it.
Now remember, she has told Joey that her dad's abusive and will beat her.
Mm-hmm.
And so him helping her is grooming her.
Yes.
She is vulnerable.
Yes.
Putting that out there.
Absolutely. And he's very well aware of this.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Also, Joey started delaying the repairs, so they'd have to come in more frequently. It would take longer, just so he could see more of her. And it was, and she was intentionally damaging the car, and there was clearly back and forth flirting going on all that summer. On July 2nd, 1991, Amy brought her car back into the shop to have a sound system installed. The installation was going to take a few hours, and Amy would need a ride home, so Joey had the unmitigated gall and audacity to call Amy's father to ask if he could give her a ride home. And of course he agreed, thinking he was talking to a reasonable adult who wasn't sniffing around a 16-year-old girl. Once at the house, he asked her for a house tour.
That's
I find that
fucking vile.
it is vile. And she agreed, and she showed him around the house, and then once they got up to her bedroom, they had sex. Amy then considered Joey her boyfriend, and she thought she was in love with him.
Gross. So gross.
Amy was a troubled girl from an abused home, and he groomed her. And I refuse to entertain anything else on this.
Yeah.
The way the media has consistently portrayed Amy has been gross, and they do it to this day. She was groomed, she was abused, and that was rape.
Yes. Yes.
A child can't consent.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because, like, the 90s and the early 2000s, especially whenever I was in school, put so much sexual responsibility on teenage girls.
All on the girls.
All on the girls. None whatsoever on the
boys can't control themselves, bless their little hearts.
Right. But a girl is a whore if she were to do anything whatsoever,
well,
if anything were to happen to her.
And we're in the South, so we got it from both ends, from the purity culture bullshit too.
Yes.
Which is like, I would get the thing like, you're a rose and you won't be so pretty if everybody pulls your petals off.
Right.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I was thinking earlier about how, like, my dad gave me a purity ring.
That's
purity
vomitous.
rings were so weird.
Vomitous.
Yeah.
It's incestuous to me.
My dad is very, very simple, very kind, very calm-mannered person.
I'm just saying in general.
I think, but in general, the idea of it, absolutely, for sure. It's like, why are you making your
You promised me you won't fuck anybody because you belong to me. I'm your dad. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, that's
Shut
disgusting.
It.
That's disgusting.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say something, and nobody's going to like it. Make everybody uncomfortable. Children are sexual beings, too. We are sexual beings from the moment we are in the womb, as soon as we can be. That doesn't mean it's appropriate for adults to touch children, because children can't make an informed consent. They can't make an informed decision. That's why it's always rape. But it doesn't mean children aren't sexual beings. It also doesn't mean that you, as an adult, get to control somebody's sexuality like that. They're an individual. It's not appropriate for children to, do stuff, because they can't consent. They can't make good informed decisions. But at 16, if you think that you're keeping your kids virgins, you're out of your fucking mind. Stop. Just give them access to birth control and educate them on consent and how to keep themselves safe and healthy. Purity culture kills.
It's just so, I don't know. As a young girl who was sexually assaulted at 13 years old, there was so much, like, by an older man, there was so much responsibility on my shoulders for what happened to me. And I know this goes for a lot of young girls that grew up in this time period, and especially this girl right now that we're talking about.
I was 17, and my first serious boyfriend was 29 years old. I was groomed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right before that, I had just turned 17, and I dated a guy, I would say for not even quite a month. Broke up with him because he pressured me to have sex. He was 35. But nobody told me this was wrong. Nobody told me, like, hey, older men need to stop sniffing around teenage girls.
No, we, like, as a culture, really idolize this. We over-sexualized teenage girls in every movie. Magazines on teens were over-sexualized, and like pictures and all these things and all these movies, like, and it's always like romanticized that, like, the hot teacher gets the cool girl, high school girl, you know what I mean?
It's not hot.
Or shit like that. Like, the guy that's in college, is dating a freshman. You know what I mean? Like, why
all my
was
friends
that...
thought I was so cool that I had older boyfriends.
Yeah, it was always a cool thing. It was always like, that was...
But I do see the narrative on this changing.
I do too.
And I
really
happy about
love
it.
that. I really love that. It's starting to be kind of across the board ew. And I appreciate that quite a bit.
But for me, if you want to protect your children against actual pedophiles,
yeah,
or hebophiles, or whatever, hebophiles, or whatever we're going to call them, Because there is a difference between somebody who's attracted to an actual like little child as opposed to a teenager.
Right.
Regardless, if you want to keep your children safe from predators, purity culture ain't it. Stop putting it all on them.
Right.
Be an open, trusting, safe place they can come to and say, hey, Mom, this 25-year-old guy wants to date me. I'm only 14. What do I do?
Right.
That's the kind of shit. That's the environment.
Name?
Yes, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that, but I am going to go kill him now.
Yeah.
But basically, you want to just nurture an environment with your kids where they will talk to you.
Yes.
Obviously, Amy didn't have this.
Right.
Her relationship with her was fraught. Her mother let her father abuse her. She'd already been assaulted. She just desperately wanted acceptance. It had fucked her up.
Without trust, there's no safety.
No.
There's no safety.
And if you're just hammering it in what a filthy whore you are and how you get all used up, your children are not going to talk to you. You are not safe.
Right.
You need to deconstruct and you need to think about this shit because it hurt you too.
Their frontal lobe is just wide open.
Shit
Their hormones are just imbalanced as fuck and brand new. Nothing is going to make sense like an adult brain would.
And you can think you can remember what it was like, but you can't remember the level of intensity you felt back then.
And naivety. Like, you can't remember
you didn't know
that.
shit.
No.
And it's our job
you didn't know that
as
you didn't
adults
know shit.
to protect our children by educating them.
Right.
Not making them ignorant little ding-dongs that don't know anything.
And keeping them away from the information.
They need to have that information in their sweet little hands. Yes. And you may think, oh, my innocent little bit. They're not innocent. They have the internet. Their innocence never existed in this day and age. Throw that in the trash and protect them.
Get three teenagers in a room together and listen to what they're talking about. They're not innocent.
You're going to throw up.
Yep,
they
gross.
ruin everything. Yep. God. I'll never forget. Never mind. I won't even go there. But yeah, we all have teenagers, you know. You know. So that same day, after he had had sex with her in her childhood bedroom, Amy's father took her back to the auto body shop so she could pick up her car. Joey told her to meet him later that night at the Freeport Motor Inn. Amy told her parents she was going to go hang out with friends. She met Joey in the hotel and they had sex, and they would do this 13 to 18 more times in hotel rooms in the area through the duration of the relationship. I don't like calling it a relationship.
No.
This continued abuse and grooming of this 16-year-old girl would go on for 18 months. Joey knew that Amy was an abused child, and he preyed on her because she was vulnerable. Amy says so herself in TV interviews, that she felt that he manipulated her. Joey spoiled her with fancy dinners, trips on his racing boat, Double Trouble.
Ew.
He bought her things, and he told her he loved her. When Amy turned 17, she saw Joey as her boyfriend, like serious boyfriend. He'd kept telling her that he loved her, and she needed money for something, and I could not find out. Like, I listened a lot. I couldn't find out what she needed money for. It doesn't matter. And he suggested she start doing sex work instead. Amy took his advice and became an escort. She said that she did this because Joey got off on hearing about her having sex with other men, and that she felt wanted and desired. Joey also insisted she cut off her relationship with her beloved aunt, who she was really close to, because that's what grooming looks like. It also includes isolating you from your family and loved ones.
Because if you excitedly tell your loved ones and relatives about this new boyfriend you have,
you can't, because it's fucked.
Then they'll tell you that it's wrong, and then it won't be a thing anymore.
In November of that year, Amy asked Joey to leave his wife, which he refused to do. This confused Amy because she thought that he loved her. That he certainly, that's what he was telling the young girl. She was heartbroken when he said he wouldn't. Amy tried then to break it off with Joey. She attempted suicide directly after their breakup. Right before her attempt, Joey had said he hated his wife, Mary Jo, and he wished she were dead. He even suggested to Amy that Mary Jo knew about the affair and wanted to have Amy killed or hurt. And so a plan began to form. Initially, Amy tried to get two of her classmates to kill Mary Jo, but that plan would never come to fruition. In January of 1992, Amy's father took her car to that fucking body shop again, and Joey tried to win Amy back. But there was already another man in her life. She had joined a gym class and started dating the gym owner, Paul Lakely, and also she had 3 long-term clients for her escort business. Joey demanded she break up the relationship with Paul, and Amy was dead set on breaking up Joey and Mary Jo. It was messy. She wanted Mary Jo out of the picture. And the guy she was seeing, the gym owner, he was 30. God. It's disgusting. Amy devised a plan with a 21-year-old man named Peter Wojcinski. I cannot say it's a crazy name, sorry. She was going to pay him to get her a gun and be her getaway driver. They stole license plates to put on Peter's car so that, like, if they did get pulled over, they wouldn't trace things back to him, or if witnesses saw their car pull away, etc. In May of 1992, Amy was a senior in high school, and her plan to get rid of Mary Jo had come together. She went to school as she usually did, but ended up not staying long, saying that she had cramps and didn't feel well. It was May 19th. Amy got out of school and met Peter at her house. They put on the decoy license plate, and they drove to the Buttafuoco residence. It was around 11:40 a.m., and Mary was in the backyard. She's painting furniture when she heard a knock on the door, and she was really surprised to see a teenage girl on her doorstep, and she said that Amy just looked so young. Just like 14, 15. She just looked like a baby to her. Amy asked her, "Are you Mrs. Buttafuoco?" And Mary Jo said yes, she was. Amy asked if they could talk, so Mary Jo stepped out onto the porch. From there, she could see Peter parked in a car in front of her house, but she didn't think it was suspicious. She thought that these kids were coming to talk to her husband about something for their car, because that kind of thing happened a lot. Amy told Mary Jo that her little sister was having an affair with her husband, Joey. Amy was pretending to be like that she had a little sister and that's who was having an affair. She was an only child. There was no little sister. Right. Just wanting to make that clear because it's kind of confusing, and some of the podcasts clearly get that detail really screwed up. Mary Jo was confused and clearly alarmed. She asked Amy how old she was, and Amy lied again and said 19, and she said her name was Anne Marie. She said her little sister was 14.
Oh my God.
Mary Jo thought this was all bullshit. Mary asked the girl where she was from and her name, and then Amy just kept making up stuff, and then she was kind of like messing up some of the details, so Mary thought it was kind of a prank because she just couldn't believe her husband would sleep with a teenager. Mary Jo told Amy she was having a hard time believing her story, and Amy got really agitated and showed her a t-shirt from Joey's body shop and claimed to have found it in her sister's bed while she was making her sister's bed. And then Mary Jo super didn't believe it. She's like, "What are you doing making your sister's bed? Who does that?" You know? I get her thinking. As a mom, right. You're just like, my kids would not do that for each other.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And no, I would not have. Even with this evidence, Mary Jo just didn't believe her, and she said, "You know what? I'm going to go inside and I'm going to go ahead and call Joey. I'll see you later." She was done. It was then that Amy became enraged and hysterical. She pulled a gun on Mary Jo and pulled the trigger, shooting her behind the right ear with a .25 caliber semi-automatic pistol. Mary collapsed, obviously, unconscious, and Amy tried, they think, to shoot her 3 more times. But she didn't know how to operate the gun. Because it's semi-automatic, you wouldn't need to, cock it back anymore. But she did that, and it just sent full bullets, out into the yard. On the porch. Yeah. So just explaining that.
I wouldn't know what to do with a gun, honestly.
I do. She fled the scene. She got in the car with Peter. Neighbors heard the gunshot and found Mary Jo and called 911 really fast. Mary Jo's life was saved, and she was able to give police information on her attacker. And when they called her husband, he said he knew exactly who it was. Of course, he told him it was Amy Fisher, this crazy girl who had a crazy crush on him and wouldn't leave him alone.
Of course.
He said he barely knew her. She was kind of stalking him, making threats, etc., etc. Threw her under the bus. Amy was arrested and confessed to the attempted murder right away. She said she'd gone to the house with the express desire to... She said she'd not gone to the house with the express desire to kill Mary Jo. And I find that hard to believe.
I don't believe it.
As did everyone else. Amy said that she felt as though she felt that Joey wanted her to kill Mary Jo, even if he hadn't asked specifically. Amy claimed that she hit Mary Jo upside the head with the gun, and that when she went to hit her again, the gun accidentally fired and shot her in the head. That is not how guns work, and I do not believe that. Peter came forward and turned himself in. He said Amy had given him money and oral sex in exchange for him getting the gun and for being the getaway driver. He confirmed the story of Mary Jo being shot and not struck in the head. Peter pled guilty to gun charges and spent 6 months in jail. Amy spent a little under 10 years. She had been sentenced to 15. She took a lesser charge than attempted murder, and it was like an aggravated assault charge because she, didn't fight it. There wasn't like a trial. She pled guilty. Joey Buttafuoco, they were going to drop the charges against him. They were going to stop investigating him. I wish they hadn't, because I think he should have been tried for his wife's murder. I do think he encouraged Amy. I absolutely do.
1,000%.
I believe Amy on that.
None of this would have happened without him.
No. He seduced a 16-year-old child, groomed and abused her. Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Now, and I want to be clear before I go further, because you're going to listen to this episode, seems very sympathetic to Amy, because it is. I still think Amy should have served her time. This is the one case where I agree with the sentencing. Had Mary been killed, I would not have agreed with the sentencing. She would have needed longer.
Yeah.
Because I actually do think she was a danger to society at the time. Yeah. Given all the abuse she'd endured. She needed help.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's so young and the grooming and all of that
I don't think that I think she deserved a second chance.
Yeah, because none of that would have happened without him. She would have never shot anybody.
And Amy has never broken the law since.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. Joey only spent 4 months in jail for statutory rape. And the only reason... Yeah, girl. The only reason he was even brought up on those charges is he would not stop... He got like a publicist and was doing like the press circuit and going on daytime and, nighttime talk shows, trying to get booked in movie deals. And this really agitated the prosecutor.
Yeah.
So they're like, hit him. They hit him with 19 statutory rape charges.
And
it was
got
all
4
and got
months.
Got 4 months because he pled guilty to 1.
If anybody is questioning why victims of sexual assault don't come forward and report what happened
This is why.
This is why.
This piece of shit.
Because they get to get out.
Oh, nothing.
It's so fucked.
Mary Jo petitioned for Amy Fisher to be released from prison, and Amy was released early in 1999.
Mary Jo did?
Yeah. Because Mary Jo's a fucking badass. Let's just get that straight.
Mary Jo.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hug that woman.
She's fucking badass. She was treated like shit by the press, too. She's a very brash, outspoken lady.
As she should be.
Mm-hmm. Mary Jo remained with Joey until 2003, when she said she realized after talking with her son, Paul, that Joey was a sociopath. She immediately filed for divorce. Mary got plastic surgery so she could smile again.
Baby.
And I think they may have partially repaired her right ear, which had been, she couldn't hear out of it anymore. Yeah. And her facial muscles were better since she got like a facelift and stuff. This was therapeutic, not just cosmetic. Yeah. And because her facial muscles had frozen because of being shot in the fucking head.
Right.
She wrote a book. What did you say the book was called? Because I forgot to write it down.
Getting it through my thick fucking skull. Or no,
through
it
my
didn't
thick
say fucking.
skull.
Yeah, I did that.
And that was her story. And it was like, and the little like parentheses at the bottom was why I didn't leave.
Oh.
And it's an excellent book. If you were on the fence about leaving a bad relationship, read this and you'll get out.
Yeah.
I've read it. It was very helpful to me, actually. So, yeah, Mary's cool. She went on to become a, inspirational speaker,
Good.
motivational speaker.
Hell yeah.
Joey tried to milk his 15 minutes of fame for all it was worth, but quickly faded from the public eye. He moved to California to try and become an actor. He just ended up getting arrested a bunch of times for, like, fraud and shit like that. Because, of course, he did, because he's a giant piece of crap. Amy Fisher went on to be an adult film actress, and she is now a webcam model. So there you go. There's that case. And y'all, woo! The TV interviews at the time of this were just so heinous you can hardly believe it. Like, Howard Stern actually brought Amy Fisher on, and while Mary Jo was a guest. And of course that didn't go well. And it wasn't, and it seems like they would have been friends because she petitioned for her release. They were not friends. That bitch shot her in the head.
Right.
To be fair.
Yeah.
So tell me what y'all think of this case. Or if you have any cases from the 90s you'd like us to cover that we haven't already covered, because boy, we have covered quite a few. Absolutely. I covered Phil Hartman. We covered John Benet Ramsey,
Tupac,
Biggie. Yeah. Rodney King.
Selena.
So outside of those, come tell us what you want to hear. And to do that, join our Discord. And I don't want no more emails.
Join our Discord.
Please, for the love of God. I just have too many, and I can't. Blah. I need to just make a straight up email, like Lillian Cruelty, because like I have an email from all my other fucking things. That
we have a cruelty email. I just never check it, so you can just have it.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, join our Discord. Join our Patreon. I would tell you what I'm covering, but my brain is soup, and I don't remember right now. Yeah. Oh, I'm teaching people how to do remote viewing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because we covered, like, life after death and stuff, like proof for it. So if you want to learn how to do some psychic shit, and it will work, unless you can't do psychic shit, but that's not my fault. It won't be due to my inability to instruct. And then I don't know what you're covering on your next Patreon. Just kind
Matthew Perry.
Ugh. I just don't care about celebrities at all. But I know a lot of people do, so I'm sure you'll find it interesting.
Yeah. I'm just like, there's just so many layers to this that, I don't know. It's more than just that case. It's the entirety case of exploiting celebrities for their substance abuse and getting away with murder. Constantly, currently, continuously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yes, join our Patreon, join our Discord, get some merch. Get some merch.
You want a t-shirt.
You do.
Girl, you want a t-shirt. And the long sleeve t-shirts, that's what I have, and those are comfy as fuck. Tote bags, mugs, thermoses. Y'all.
And yes, I'm putting up my birthday list one more time, and then no mas.
Birthday week, not birthday day.
Yeah, we just do that for all of us. And besides, because some people have asked that I keep putting it up because they'll forget and they get paydays and stuff like that. And hey, I like prezzies for everyone who sent me a gift. Thank you so much. I had the best birthday ever.
Yes.
You want to know what I did?
Yes.
See that ice cream that I wouldn't shut the fuck up about last time? White chocolate raspberry truffle from Haagen-Dazs. Jesus Christ. Your girl sat in the bed, laid in the bed, and I read smutty Sauron fan fiction and ate that ice cream, and I didn't get up all day.
That's my girl.
Ate that ice cream for breakfast and just read really bad porn about Sauron porking Galadriel, and that's what I did all day, and I was like, this is the best birthday ever.
That's right. That's
right.
It
was so rad. So thank you all for making that possible. Get that mental image out of your head. You can't. It's my gift to you. You're welcome. But, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe and comment.
Please.
And hit the little bell.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. You can be dick. I don't care. I live on your hate. Yum, yum. It's good. Like it. In addition, if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, please know that I appreciate you and it is for you. And we love you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
Yes, it is.
It is going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Can't rain all the time.
Yep.
Wish it'd rain here, though. It's very dry.
Girl, I'd love some rain.
But then it'd be humid as fuck.
I still would love that rain.
That rain, huh?
I want that rain.
I gotta go. Should be too folksy for me.
I'm sleepy.
We're both very sleepy. Good night. Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.